Robert's rebellion was one of the most defining events in the history of Westeros, reshaping the political landscape, destroying a dynasty that had ruled for nearly 3 centuries, and setting the stage for the conflicts to come. But to understand how this devastating war began, we must start several years before the first sword was drawn. The roots of Robert's rebellion are tangled in broken promises, forbidden love, political fear, paranoia, and the increasing instability of the Targaryen throne. The Targaryen dynasty had long been in decline. King Aerys II, later known as the Mad King, began his reign with promise, but grew increasingly unstable over the years. His paranoia deepened after he was held hostage during the defiance of Duskendale. When he was finally freed, his mind was fractured, and from that point onward he became suspicious of everyone, including his own family. He trusted only a small circle of loyalists and surrounded himself with pyromancers, convinced that wildfire could be his salvation and his ultimate weapon. Meanwhile, the relationship between the great houses of Westeros was beginning to shift. Lord Rickard Stark of Winterfell arranged for his daughter Lyanna to marry Robert Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End. Robert, Eddard Stark, and their foster father Jon Arryn shared a strong bond formed during their youth in the Vale. Lyanna Stark, however, was troubled by the match for reasons that were her own. She was fierce, independent, and perceptive. While Robert was charismatic and beloved, Lyanna suspected that he would not be faithful, even if he cared for her deeply. Everything changed during the Great Tournament at Harrenhal. This legendary event brought together the most powerful lords and knights in Westeros, but beneath the celebration lay a quiet tension. At this very tourney, the cracks in the Targaryen dynasty widened. The Crown Prince, Rhaegar Targaryen, was admired across the realm, noble, kind, and skilled. Many believed he would be the one to lead Westeros into a better age. He was married to Elia Martell of Dorne, and though he respected her, their marriage had political complexities. During the tournament, Rhaegar won the final joust, unhorsing all challengers. Tradition dictated that he should crown his wife the Queen of Love and Beauty. But instead, he placed the crown of winter roses upon the lap of Lyanna Stark. This single act sent shockwaves through the realm. It insulted his wife, angered several great houses, and sparked dangerous speculation. The Targaryen king, already unstable, saw betrayal everywhere. The Starks saw it as a grave dishonor, and Robert Baratheon took it as a personal heartbreak. Not long after the tourney, Lyanna disappeared. In the north, the belief was that Rhaegar had abducted her. Whether she went willingly or was taken remains one of the greatest mysteries in the history of Westeros. What is known for certain is that her disappearance ignited fury in the Stark family. Brandon Stark, her older brother and heir to Winterfell, rode to King's Landing demanding Rhaegar face him and return Lyanna. In response, Aerys had Brandon arrested, accusing him of treason. When Lord Rickard Stark came to reclaim his son and negotiate Lyanna's return, Aerys had them both executed in a horrific manner. Rickard burned alive in wildfire. Brandon strangled himself trying to save his father. This moment signaled the point of no return. Aerys then commanded Jon Arryn to send him the heads of Robert Baratheon and Eddard Stark. Instead, Jon Arryn refused, raising his banners in open rebellion. The Vale, the North, and the Stormlands united. Robert and Eddard both returned home to gather their own forces. Robert claimed justice for Lyanna, and the lords who despised the Targaryens for decades rallied to him. What began as a spark soon became a wildfire of revolt. Robert's rebellion unfolded with brutal efficiency. The Riverlands joined the rebels after House Tully allied with the Starks and Arryns. Battles erupted all across Westeros. The rebels gained strength after Robert's victory in the Battle of Summerhall. But the war was far from settled. Rhaegar vanished from public view for months, believed to be with Lyanna, while Aerys grew more desperate and dangerous. The Mad King plotted to burn King's Landing to ash, rather than see it fall to his enemies. One of the most defining moments of the war came at the Battle of Ashford, where Robert fought fiercely, wielding his warhammer with devastating strength. But the true turning point arrived at the Battle of the Trident. There, beneath the Ruby Ford, Robert Baratheon and Rhaegar Targaryen met in single combat. Their clash was legendary. Robert, though wounded, struck Rhaegar down with his warhammer, shattering the prince's armor and ending his life. As Rhaegar fell, the rubies from his breastplate washed down the river, and with him died the hopes of the Targaryen loyalists. When word of Rhaegar's death reached King's Landing, Aerys panicked. He ordered wildfire caches prepared to burn the entire city. He planned to destroy everything rather than let it fall. But within the Red Keep, a critical betrayal occurred. Jaime Lannister, a member of the King's Guard sworn to protect Aerys, realized that the king would destroy the innocent population. He killed the pyromancer and then slew Aerys himself. With King's Landing taken, Tywin Lannister arrived and pretended loyalty to the rebels. His forces sacked the city, and in the brutal chaos, Rhaegar's wife Elia and their 2 young children were murdered. Robert Baratheon, now the clear victor, was declared the new king of Westeros. But there was still unfinished business. Ned Stark journeyed south to find his sister Lyanna. He discovered her in a hidden location, dying, surrounded by blood and sorrow. Her final words to him were a plea for a promise. Whatever that promise was, Ned kept it secret for the rest of his life. Lyanna's death shattered him, though he rarely spoke of her again. With Robert crowned, the rebellion came to an end. The surviving Targaryen children, Viserys and Daenerys, were smuggled across the narrow sea to live in exile. The great houses of Westeros bent the knee to Robert Baratheon, marking the beginning of a new dynasty. Yet beneath the triumph, the realm carried deep wounds. Friendships were tested, families were destroyed, and secrets born in the fires of rebellion would continue to shape the future of Westeros for decades to come. Robert's rebellion was not a simple uprising. It was a tragedy born from mistrust, pride, political decay, and the choices of men who believed they were acting for love, honor, and justice. In the end, the war toppled a dynasty, but it also unleashed consequences that no one could foresee. The echoes of that rebellion would continue to resonate through the lives of those who survived it, and through generations yet to come.